And so we hear the warnings once again. The IRS is warning taxpayers to be ready for 2023. Why? Well, they're calling something a refund shock. What does that mean? Well, I will address that later on in this video. We're also going to talk about how the IRS is going to be adding 87,000 IRS agents. Why? Well, they say to go after the rich and the wealthy. However, we do know that the rich and the wealthy hardly get audited. It is the normal, everyday workers that get audited the most. So we're going to address that in today's video as well. And another big thing that the IRS is warning and has been warning for some time is to be ready in 2023 because they are going to be going after people that are making money through Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. Even if you make more than $600 from your fantasy football leagues, well, you're supposed to be actually claiming that money and paying taxes on that. That could be a huge problem. So we're going to address that at the end of this video, but let's first talk about why this is a very crucial time for Democrats. And I want to start there because today is the final day for the Georgia Senate runoff. So today we will know whether we will see Raphael Warnock win again and be the senator of Georgia, or will it be his challenger, Herschel Walker? We will know that later on today. And even though Democrats still will hold the majority in the Senate, no matter who wins today, it is still a very important vote, and I want to explain why this is. One of the big things that has happened over the past 2 years is Democrats and Republicans were split 50-50 in the Senate, which would ultimately went to Democrats because Vice President Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote. However, in that scenario, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he had to continue to go to Democratic Senator Joe Manchin and negotiate with him personally because it was split 50-50. And over the past couple of years, Senator Joe Manchin has actually sided with Republicans more than Democrats. And it's all because of any future spending. Senator Joe Manchin, he is very big on looking at inflation, but also our national deficit. And so his big thing was no spending that we cannot afford. So again, if Democrats win, this would be a huge win for Democrats and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, because now he wouldn't have to go to Senator Joe Manchin every single time they want to pass any legislation. Now they could essentially have 50 votes and the tiebreaker with Kamala Harris, even without Senator Joe Manchin. But if Herschel Walker wins today, then we're going to see a lot of the same that happened over the past 2 years. So again, it's a very big day. And speaking of Democrats, let's address what Nancy Pelosi and Democrats are attempting to do during this lame duck session, which they have less than 2 weeks of. Here's what we know. The House is going to be controlled by Republicans starting in January. Democrats know this, and they understand that they have a limited window to get their legislation passed. Here are some of the things that they want to get passed before their lame duck session ends, and again, in less than 2 weeks. First, and these are not in any order, but they want to consider proposals touching on gay rights. They want to address immigration. They want to pass additional COVID aid. They want to pass additional Ukraine funding, which Republicans are definitely against. They want to strengthen America's election system. We still need a bill to keep our government funded, and they want a separate bill to fund the military. But the problem there is President Biden wants to include Senator Joe Manchin's permitting bill. Republicans say no, and now we are in kind of a standstill. But again, they got less than 2 weeks to get something done, so we will see what happens over those next 2 weeks. And before I get into the IRS news, I want to address one thing. Democrats understand that as soon as we get into 2023, Republicans have the majority in the House, Democrats hold the majority in the Senate. The issue is, in order to pass legislation, the same bill has to pass through the Senate and the House and go get signed by the president himself. So that's a problem because of who is going to control each house. So whether that's the Senate or the House, who's going to control it? The Senate will be controlled by Democrats. They're going to pass their bills. We got Republicans. They're going to control the House. They're going to pass their bills. but chances are as soon as they send it over to the Senate or the House, right, or vice versa, the problem is the other one is not going to pass the same bill. If they even consider it, they're going to make changes to it. Then if they pass it, it would have to go back to the other one in order to pass that there. Again, they will probably make changes to it. So over the next 2 years, don't see a lot of reports coming out that, hey, this bill was passed, because chances are there's going to be very few and far between. And now let's talk about what is going to go on with the IRS. First off, Republicans were hoping to win the Senate as well. They were hoping to do that because if they did, then potentially they could actually hold off on hiring 87,000 new IRS agents. The reason why, according to the federal government, is they wanted to make sure that the wealthy and the rich are not getting by without paying their taxes, their fair share. That's why they hired more agents. However, the reports do indicate that the majority of people that get audited are not the rich and the wealthy, they're the everyday workers. So people like you and I. That's a problem. Now, again, we probably do our taxes, everything legally, or we hope so, right? But at the same time, there's still a chance people are going to go after us. Well, let's address this. Let's address what the IRS's warning is as of right now. Big warning is to be ready, because there is something that they're calling a refund shock. Look at this. We'll read this article together. It's called refund shock, and many taxpayers can expect to see it when they file their 2022 tax returns. And there may not be a lot most of us can do about it. Okay. Thanks to pandemic relief measures passed by Congress in the last year, blah, 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 we call it let's read this one right here. We call it refund shock or refund whiplash. Wow. Refund whiplash. That sounds good. Because we all got this massive amount of additional money last year, right? Got stimulus checks. We got larger tax credits and deductions and all these things, right? Well, let's look at this. Because according to this report, it is saying that the average refund for 2021 was well over $3,000. Well, this was more than 15% above the average pre-pandemic refund in 2019. Now, here's the reason why. We were getting a $3,600 child tax credit, these payments. First, we got half of this, $1,800. We got it July, August, September, October, November. Nope. Whatever. Right? We got for 6 months. That was good. People were very happy. $300 a month. Awesome. Everybody was doing good. Well, that is not now $3,600. Now it is $2,000. Okay, great. So again, right there, this is one of the first deductions that's coming down, right? Or the tax credits that's coming down. We're almost half there. That's big. But here's another one. This one was huge. This one right here, the dependent care credit right here. Oops, there you go. The dependent care credit right there. That one was a big one because that one used to be $8,000 last year. Now it's not. Now it dropped back down to $2,100. The other one, the earned income tax credit for taxpayers with no kids, this went from $1,500 down to, yep, you see it, just $500. Why is that such a big deal? Everything's dropping. So when the average refund for 2021 that we got last year, or actually this year, was $3,000, well, guess what? All these big things dropped. No $3,600 child tax credit payment, right? It's gonna be $2,000. No $8,000 independent care credit, dropped to $2,100. That's big. Those are both very big. Now, one thing I can tell you is a lot of people are expecting to get a substantial refund, right? Because it's been a tough year. People are hoping and banking that, all right, after this holiday season, I might spend a little bit on credit cards. Well, I might need to pay this off. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, let's wait until April gets here or whenever you file your tax return, and let's hopefully get a big tax return back, tax refund, right? Well, that's the plan. However, the IRS is warning us that be prepared for 2023 because your tax refund will not be as large as it was last year. Again, that's very worrying right now, especially to me, because I see the writing on the wall where the American people need additional money, and it's looking like they're not going to get it this year. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.